Nothing is going to make this one okay. Team Canada loses 2-1. Connor Hellebuyck and the United States of America in overtime in the gold medal game. This one's different. This one hits a whole lot different than the women's game. For a few reasons. I think the first reason is that the women's team for the United States was supposed to win. They went into this tournament as the heavy favorites. They walked out of this tournament. Maybe not nearly as heavy as they were going in, but still, they walked out as champions, as favorites, I even say, for the next time we do this in November. Not in the Olympics, obviously, but I would say that, the odds of the U.S. winning the IIHF World Championship are probably higher than any other team. No, let's be clear, I do think Canada is a lot closer than maybe others like to say. Similarly in the men, I think if this tournament proved one thing, it's that the four big teams, and honestly you can include Czechia in this, they are way closer. If we did a Four Nations every year, we would get a different winner every single time. We would not, I think the era of, 5 in a row best on best winners is gone. You look at best on best, Canada's thoroughly dominated. They won in 76, they lost 81, they lost in the 80s, they won another one of these. There was 4 World Cups, or Canada Cups. They won 3. Then in the World Cups of hockey, there's been 2 that they've won and 1 that they've lost. And then in the Olympics, there is 1998, which they lost, and then 02, which they won, and 06, which they lost, and then 10 and 14, they won both of those. They lost in 26, but they won the 2025 Four Nations face-off. This makes it 9-5, if my count is correct? 9-5? So more than the rest of the world combined. If they were to win in 2028 in the World Cup of Hockey, it would actually be double of the rest of the world combined. The U.S. is the only other nation to win multiple best-on-best tournaments. They did it once back in 96, and it took them 30 years till they did it again in 2026. When it comes to hockey, Canada's never had to wait 30 years for much of anything. I guess in the Olympics, but that's because they never sent a good team after NHL players weren't allowed to play. And obviously the USSR is the USSR. They were effectively a professional team. In terms of best on best, it's really close for both. But Canada went into this tournament the favorite. They were the team to beat. And honestly, they played the better game today. You look at the shots, I thought they were going to go into this game and win. My prediction going in was a 4-0 because I thought, we're facing Connor Hellebuyck, and he's hot or he's cold. And it's a big game, and there are times where in the big games where the lights shine the brightest, he comes up huge and, will win a Game 7 double, triple overtime game after being down by 2 with barely any time. Winnipeg comes back, wins the series. Or he turns into a pumpkin. Which Hellebuyck are we going to get? Because if we get the one who turns into a pumpkin, we're golden. He was phenomenal. There are 4 moments where I'm like, Canada could have won there. And of those 4, he is responsible for 2. The first, I think the one that everybody was really talking about, is the Nathan MacKinnon miss. You show me that image, Nathan MacKinnon, best goal scorer on the planet, wide open net. Yeah, I would think he was going to score that one, and he doesn't. The other one, Connor McDavid, best player on the planet with a breakaway, I would assume he at least gets a shot off. Those 2, Hellebuyck didn't really do anything. Just fate was not on our side. And there was a lot of times where it felt like fate was just not on our side. A massive 5-on-3. for like a minute and a half, 93 seconds. This power play gets 93 seconds. I would have bet my house that they would score. Are you kidding me? 93 seconds. And it's not like it looked that bad. They had their chances. They had their opportunities. There were a few really good shots where any other goaltender in the world, including Connor Hellebuyck half of the time, is letting at least one in. Not this game. This game, there was nothing that was going past him. Come hell or high water, he was making the save. Macklin Celebrini got a breakaway. Got a shot off and a rebound. Just the best goal scorer of the Olympics. I mean, look, this kid, oh my goodness. If there's one thing that we can really take solace in as Canadians, it's that we've got McKenna, Celebrini, and Bedard. And they're all young, and in next Olympics, and especially the Olympics after that, look out. You know, when Sidney Crosby injured for 4 weeks and not able to play this game, would he have made a difference? Maybe, but as I said in my previous video, though there are maybe this, maybe that. Yes, maybe if they called the too many men penalty. And let me be clear, there needs to be an investigation into the reffing. No, they did not cost Canada the gold. And I do not want to hear anybody saying that. Canada had every opportunity to win this game. They had so many chances, so many times where I'm like, how did they not score? How did the puck is placed perfectly for you to score? So I don't want to hear any of this. But when I say the refs need to be investigated, what I mean is, how do you let that go twice in elimination games? And then the one time, Canada had 3 separate instances of a team having too many men on the ice, very obviously having too many men on the ice, and the 2 times that Canada didn't do it, it's not called, and the 1 time they did do it, it gets called. And I'm not saying there's a Canada bias, but as I said in the semifinal video, this is something they were going to call. This is something that they must have been talked about. That Czechia goal was awful, was horrendous. And I said, oh, well, everybody must have gotten the memo. Everybody must have gotten the memo. Clearly they didn't. How that doesn't get seen after what happened in the quarterfinals is absurd. And let me be clear, if that penalty was called, there's not a chance in hell Canada was scoring. Hellebuyck was locked in. And if you gave us another, they didn't let a single goal in on the penalty kill all Olympics. Canada may have had the greatest power play we've ever seen. The US definitely has the greatest penalty kill. The greatest penalty kill put to ice. Oh my goodness. It was amazing how they were able to keep every single puck out. Canada had every opportunity to win this game, and they just couldn't finish. This team just couldn't find the finish. Makar got 1. Boldy on the breakaway, take the lead. Makar got 1 back, and then Canada dominated the rest of the game, and I thought that would be enough, and I was a little worried going in overtime. I still had a good feeling. I was like, Canada's dominating this game. And then everybody's trying to be the hero. Nobody is back-checking enough, and the U.S. is able to come down, odd man rush the other way, and Quinn Hughes ends it and wins the gold for Team USA. A game that Canada otherwise dominated. So I want to get some excuses out of the way. First off, the Nathan MacKinnon quote, which I actually agree with. It's been taken out of context. Well, you tell me who was the better team or who deserved to win. The quote info, when you read the context, it actually is exactly what it is. You can say, you can judge by who was the better team, but at the end of the day, one team got 2 goals, another team got 1. They're a good team, and at the end of the day, doesn't matter how many shots you get. You can say who the better team was. Canada was the better team, but being better in terms of having more shots, more time on attack, all of that, that's not how you win the game. You win the game by scoring more goals. And that is one of the places where Canada was significantly worse. Because they scored 1. The US scored 2. So that's how the game is decided. 3-on-3 overtime. We only lost because of 3-on-3 overtime. And again, I do agree that yes, if this was 5-on-5 overtime, would Canada have won this game? Probably. Yeah, it's fairly likely. I'd say most likely they probably would have. They were playing better. But it's not. And people tend to forget about 2010. That wasn't 5-on-5 overtime. Oh, but 4-on-4 is so much better. 4-on-4 is so much... I'm sorry, but if we're going to completely invalidate a team because they scored 3-on-3 to win the gold medal, because that's too gimmicky, that's not real hockey, I do agree, and I've always said it, whether Canada's won or lost, it should be 5-on-5 in elimination games. In elimination games, it should be 5-on-5 until someone scores. Starting in the quarterfinals. Maybe in the quarters, I'd be okay with 4-on-4. Even still, should be 5-on-5. I do not think that in the quarterfinals, someone should go home because they lost a shootout. That's disgusting. In the gold medal game, yeah, I don't think that 3-on-3 should decide it. I don't think 4-on-4 should decide it. And also, the golden goal by Sidney Crosby is one of my all-time favorite memories watching sports. It's one of the best, biggest moments that this nation as a whole has gotten to experience. And it being 4-on-4 does not cheapen the gold medal in any way. It doesn't invalidate the gold medal in any way. Oh yeah, I mean, the U.S. had all the momentum going in. In that game, right, they came back from down 2-0. They tied the game. They went to overtime. And then Canada won on some cheap 4-on-4 play. That's some bull. No, it's not. The U.S. won fair and square. And the rules are the rules. And you should know, okay, it's 3-on-3 overtime. If you have not constructed a team to win in 3-on-3 overtime, then you clearly have not been following the Olympics. So it doesn't cheapen that gold medal. And these what if it was 5-on-5? What if Sidney Crosby was healthy? Well, what if is a real good question to have. But what happened is the question you should be asking. What happened is US scored and Canada lost, and the US got gold. What if? I mean, and what if Buffalo didn't miss wide right? Okay. What if the hit by the Blue Jays that went under the wall was called a in the park home run? But it wasn't, and they didn't. What if you? I'm sorry, but it's just. What if Macklin Celebrini wasn't born in Canada? Would we have even made it this far? You don't get a banner for what if. You don't get a banner for, well, Crosby was injured, plus it was 3-on-3 overtime, and we had 40 shots anyway, so really who won the... No! The U.S. beat us. Plain and simple. And for a while, that sucked, and it could have ended there. It would have been another good game. And then they had to really actually cheapen this gold medal. And it was not cheapened. No amount of missed calls or more shots or 3-on-3 overtime could have made me call the gold medal cheapened. The U.S. men's team cheapened this gold medal themselves. The U.S. women's team, their gold medal is not cheapened in the slightest. And I don't care about, oh, but the Brita curl hit, that could have been 5. I think it should have been 5. But it wasn't. You got to roll with the punches. Oh, but the 3-on-3 overtime, they only won because of 3-on-3 overtime. I mean, I don't necessarily think so, but fair enough. They did only win in 3-on-3 overtime. That doesn't cheapen it. The men's team, they chose to cheapen their gold medal. They chose to become a political prop. Let me be perfectly clear. I'm not the one making this political. They made it political. the whole keep politics out of sports, I'd love it if they did. This could have been a relatively good story. The U.S. first gold medal since 1980. Do you know, we should be the bad guys. In women's hockey, if I'm being honest, we are the bad guys. Like, everybody's trying to act like, oh, the U.S. won, the bad guys won. They really didn't. Hilary Knight has one gold medal. One. In 2018. That's it. Because in 2002, in 2010, in 2014, in 2022, Canada won. Canada keeps... Doesn't matter how many IIHF World Championships you win. In the Olympics, it was written in the sky. Canada wins. Whether they go in as the favorites or the underdogs, they win time and time again. Marie-Philippe Poulin has left Canadians with so many great memories and Americans with night terrors. 2002, 2010, 2014, 2006, I forgot that one. 4 in a row. 16 consecutive years of Canada winning and winning and winning and winning. We're the bad guys. It's okay. It's fun to be the bad guys in sports. You think the Patriots and the Chiefs don't like being the bad guys? You think the Yankees don't like being the bad guys? Everyone wants to be because you can't be the bad guys without winning. Because if you're unlikable and you keep losing, then you're losers. If you're unlikable but you don't win anything, you aren't bad guys, you're just losers. Canada, typically, we're the bad guys. Going into the 2025 Four Nations, people forget this. But in 2024, at the start of the season, with the Four Nations face-off being like a thing that was going to happen, everyone wanted Canada to lose. Everyone wanted anyone but Canada to win. Because we are insufferable when we win. And guess what we do a lot? Win at hockey. That's like the thing that we do. We win at hockey. And we are the worst when we do. Because even when we lose, it's like, oh, great. Like, you won. Wow, you won a gold medal in the Olympics. Wow. You're acting like it's the first time it's ever happened. Oh, wait. This is literally the first time in my life that the United States has won a best on best men's tournament. It is the first time in my life. The first time in my life that the women won Olympic gold was in 2018. This is the second time in my life that the women's have won. This is the first time both the men's and women's team have won Olympic gold. The Canadian team has done it thrice. Thrice. Canada got both men and women's gold. Even if the U.S. were to do it again next Olympics, they would still be behind us. So it's really hard for Canada to not be the bad guys, the unlikable team, the team that you want to see knocked down a peg. And if the U.S. won their gold and held up the Gaudreau jersey, which was super touching, and celebrated, and then went back home, we wouldn't be talking about this. All we would be hearing is, from the rest of the world, thank God someone put Canada in their place. In the women's game, yeah, thank God someone put Canada in their place. That should be the ongoing narrative. When Canada, and of course it's Canada and the US, and the two always win. When Canada and the US both lose, everyone will say, thank God someone other than Canada and the US won women's gold. In the men's game, it should have just been, we haven't lost a best on best tournament in 20 years. 2006 we lost. And then we won in 2010. Then we won in 2014. Then we won in 2016. Then we won in 2025. 15 years, but we lost in 06 and we won 4 straight best on best tournaments. And before 06, we won in 04 and we won in 02. We had a streak of 6 out of 7 best on best tournament wins. Someone needed to knock us down a peg, right? And the US could have been that team, and then they made it political. They party with the FBI director, much maligned FBI director, the president. And I gotta keep this video family friendly. I have thoughts about this president that I can't say out loud. But I don't think he's a good leader, and I don't think he's a good person. I think he's a failure of a man. He's disgusting. And for him to not only call the men and congratulate them, but then make jokes at the women's team expense. The women's team, mind you, that won his country a gold medal is disgusting and it's deplorable. And everyone who laughed at that, and especially everyone who laughed at that, and then didn't say anything, didn't apologize, and then went to meet that you-know-what and shake his hand, is deplorable and disgusting, and they should be ashamed of themselves. And look, I know that Canada's, our politicians will obviously celebrate when we win. When Canada won the Four Nations, every leader of every major political party was openly saying congrats. Yeah, yes, they were calling the team. And I do understand when you get a call from your country's leader, you kind of have to pick up, even if you don't like them. I get the pressure that if everybody else is like, yes, I love this politician, even if you hate them, it takes a lot of courage to stand up. But then they were given every reason to not keep making it about him. No one had to put a gold medal around his neck. No one had to do that, but Matthew Tkachuk did anyways. Yes, you got invited. Do you know how many times Canada went to visit Parliament after winning the gold? They don't. One of the games was hosted in Vancouver, and they didn't take a quick pit stop in Ottawa, take a photo with the Prime Minister. Oh, let's shake hands with Harper real quick. We won gold. Didn't do that. Because it could have been polarizing. But I do get, when a city wins a championship, what do? They go see their head of state or their leader, whoever. If a Canadian team wins the Stanley Cup, like it or not, they're probably going to be taking pictures with Mark Carney, irregardless of your opinion of Mark Carney. That's probably going to happen. But with everything that's going on, and especially with the comments about the women's team, the women had the guts to say no. And these men know that the women, those athletes, are their peers. And should have had one of them had the gumption. When he was making jokes at their expense, one of them said, yeah, 2 for 2. He didn't diminish them. And I can tell you this, if Canada won this game, if we won in overtime, and we got the golden goal, the women wouldn't have even gotten invited to the White House. Tell me otherwise. They didn't get a phone call from the president. They won in the exact same fashion, 2-1 in overtime against Canada. And here's the thing. He's not being a regular politician. He is actively and openly and continually threatening our sovereignty. Usually, when Canada faces the US, win or lose, it's friendly. They are our allies. I don't think I know a single Canadian that doesn't have an American that they know. I know a bunch of Americans by first name. We're friends. Every Canadian I know knows a bunch of Americans. Most Canadians, for most of my life, have had a generally positive view of America. And now with the AI slop videos, including taking, as a Sens fan, this hurts. Seeing our captain like that, but also, he's posting an AI video of our captain saying things that he didn't say, that are derogatory towards Canadians, and he doesn't have the gumption to call that out. This is your face. He's posting a fake video of you saying something you didn't about the people who you work for, and you don't have the gumption to say something? Because I know if somebody posted an AI video of me, no, not if someone, if the Prime Minister posted an AI video of me saying that I don't like Americans, there wouldn't be enough space on YouTube for me to make a full-length video deconstructing that not only is it false, but it's deplorable for the leader of a nation to be posting that, for the official White House account to be posting that. If at Parliament posted an AI video of me talking down to my allies in America, I would be fuming. I'd be fuming. I'd be so mad. Not only would I would go to see the Prime Minister to punch him in the face. Not to shake his hand and give him my gold medal. So for the first time, this didn't feel like Canada lost to the US. It felt like Canada lost to Russia. Russia doesn't play in these games. Because, politically, it wouldn't be appropriate. But it feels different, right? When Russia does play Canada, it feels different. The hatred there, it's more tangible. It's like, this isn't just a hockey, funny, haha, sports rival. It's I fundamentally disagree with your leader and with everybody who supports him. I fundamentally disagree with your thoughts on democracy and society as a whole, on how it should function. And the fact that you openly support the ideals of your nation. I just don't respect it. That is how Canadians and Russians tend to feel about those games. And this is nothing against the Russian people. The Russian people, I know Russians, they are great people. But their government, yeah, I have a lot against their government. I have a lot of things I could say about their leader. A lot of things, and none of them are nice. That is how that feels. When we lose to Russia, and they're propped up as big Russian team strong, looks like we do better hockey than even Canada. That's like, oh, I hate you. And not in the rival sense, in the, I really actually genuinely deeply hate you. And that is how this is being propped up. Haha, 51st. Like, when Canada was joking 11th province after the 2025 Four Nations, it's because it's a joke. And every single Canadian would be disgusted if we actually tried to make the US the 11th province by invading them. That would be horrendous. If we were to do that, I would immediately be calling not just for the Prime Minister to be out of office, but for every single MP and senator who supports this to be removed from office by physical means if necessary. The president is threatening our sovereignty. Our sovereignty. And the captains of the two Ontario teams are all smiles. So this one does feel different than the women's. The women had the gumption to stand up, to say this is wrong, to say we don't appreciate how you're treating us, how you're treating our fellow competitors. I have nothing against American. There's the most American fans, I think, that cheered for the team. It's because we're from America and are good people. I would watch a game of hockey between Canada and the US with an American. But not if they're going to be talking about 51st state, not if they're going to be supporting making us the 51st state, because that's inexcusable. Coupled with a bunch of other things that I can't even talk about because it would get this video obliterated off the platform. Don't say I made it political. I'm not the one who called them. Could you imagine if the RCMP was waiting in the locker room after Canada won to go? Oh my goodness, they would almost certainly be immediately removed from their position. Like, that would be a top 10 scandal in Canadian history if they took money to go to the Olympics and then sell and partied with, like, could you imagine in Canada if that were to happen, what the reaction would be? Oh my gosh. And for this to just be normal, could you imagine if Canada genuinely threatened, if Mark Carney genuinely threatened to take over the United States of America? And if, not only that, if they had the military to do it. Like, what if it, what if we actually did do that? What if it was a different country, right? Not the United States. What if Canada was threatening, like Greenland, right? Like, what if we threatened to just take over Greenland, and then we beat Denmark, and then Mark Carney was flexing on it and talking about Canadians? It would be the most. It would actually make me cheer for Denmark. Like, that's one of the, and that's the thing. How do you make Hockey Canada the likable ones? I'm going to be honest. I rooted for Canada in the Canada-US women's game because I'm Canadian. That's it. Hockey Canada's not likable. The roster was poorly constructed. Deep down, I actually think it's a good thing that we lost. Rebecca Leslie, she won the Sens Skills competition for shot accuracy. She looked at everyone else, including all the NHL players, and dusted them. And this is in shot accuracy. That's something that is just a pure skill thing, and she, boom, won it. Top 5 scoring in the league? No, you're not. You're not on the Olympic team. Really? That's a decision you want to stand by? Interesting. Oh, wow, look at all these Toronto Raptors players, even the ones that are doing significantly worse than Rebecca Leslie, who chose to ditch this team. It's almost like there's some sort of Raptors bias. Yeah, I think in the long... And what else do we got? One of my favorite players in Gwyneth Phillips, showing that she has courage. Rory Gilday, our first-round draft pick, showing that she has courage. I think overall, it is a good thing that, like... I'm sad about it. I think overall, for the long-term health of Canadian women's hockey, and especially for the Ottawa Charge, being an Ottawa Charge fan, the women losing to the U.S. was a good thing. Because I think we're going to get a coach that is different. That's probably not going to be nearly as biased in favor of Toronto. And I think we're definitely going to see a roster shaken up. And I didn't think I could like Gwyneth Phillips more than I already did, but I do. Because she actually has something I can stand. Like, as a Sens fan, I am just... This is the worst possible outcome. Worst possible outcome is this. Like, I wouldn't even mind if Canada lost to anyone else. Like, I hope in the World Cup of Hockey in 2028, I hope Canada wins. But if not, I hope we just eliminate the U.S. and then Sweden or Finland can take it. I don't mind. I do mind, but I don't mind. Because those are teams where it's like, okay, when the U.S. beats us in the IHF World Juniors, and there have been a lot of heartbreaks, for most of them, it's like, damn, we lost to them. That really sucks that we lost to the Americans, because they're our allies, because we know people that are going to rub it in our faces in a friendly way, right? Why do you think that hate is typically there? Sens, Leafs, Habs. I know Leafs and Habs fans. That's why we hate them. But if the Toronto mayor started threatening to take over Ottawa and make it part of Toronto, no, now beating the Leafs has a whole different meaning. Now it's got a whole other layer to it. And if the Leafs win the cup and then are celebrating with that mayor, oh my gosh, no, it has nothing to do with it has nothing to do with fandom. Me being upset about this. And it could have been. The Johnny Gaudreau thing? Dude, that was so sweet. That was beautiful. This could have been a beautiful exorcism of demons for men's hockey in the United States. 2002, we beat them at home in the United States. 2010, they get a chance for revenge. They could beat us at home. And then we get Sidney Crosby's golden goal. And then in 2014, they've got a team built specifically to beat Canada. And they got shut out 1-0 in the semifinals to none other than Canada. Dude, if I was an American, I would be sick to my stomach after 2014. That is like how I am right now. Like, I'd be, well, not right now, but how I was right after the golden goal. I'd be sick to my stomach. It would be awful. I was sick to my stomach when the U.S. scored. Now I'm just enraged. That's pathetic. I'm really happy that we're getting back to charge hockey, because this was draining. This didn't have to be like this. And I never want to hear because that's the other thing. Like, they made it political, but Trump inserted himself into this. Like, I don't think it would have been this bad if Trump didn't actively put himself into this. And, like, I guess that's part of it. Canada's never had a politician who's been so obnoxious that he purposefully is like, no, this moment's about me. It's not. Like, whether Trump or Biden or Obama or Bush or Clinton or whoever is in office, that wouldn't have changed the outcome of this game. Well, like, you think this game would have been different if Biden was president instead? No. Are you joking me? Nothing to. We've won under Harper. We've won under Martin. We've won under Trudeau. Had nothing to do with who was prime minister to decide if Canada's good. It had nothing to do with them. It had nothing to do with you. This is probably the longest video I've ever made. And I don't even care. I'm not going to cut it. I'm not going to make it shorter. Because this is one of the few times where it deserves to be this long. I am disgusted. I'm sick to my stomach. As a Sens fan, I'm so disappointed. But I'm not surprised. What else is there to say? What else is there to say? I'm going to see you in the Charge video. As always, go Canada, go. And, well, we're back to the Charge. And as always, go Ottawa, go.